You are listening to the Just Saying podcast.
Hey, thanks for checking out the Just Sayin podcast. The following episode was originally posted on March 9th, 2014, back when we used Podbean.com as our hosting. We are now on RabblePress because Podbean really sucks. I had the chance to sit down with former Tiger Cat Tony Marrone and interviewed him about his experience with being a Tiger Cat and when he ran for mayor in 2010 of Hamilton. Hope you enjoy it. If you like these episodes, please subscribe or check out more of our older episodes. Enjoy. I am here with... Who are you?
I am known by so many different names. A lot of my good friends call me Coach. You know, I have friends that call me Scoba. I got a lot of different names. My name, I born as Anthony Marrone.
Formerly known as Tony Marrone, a former
Tony Marrone.
Tiger Cat.
A lot of people ask me if that's my real name. Did you know that, Sal?
Really?
Yeah, I'll
Never
introduce myself and say, yeah, I'm Tony Marrone. Is that your real name?
Well, you know.
So I remember asking a producer one time, maybe I should change my name. He goes, are you kidding me? You're Tony Marrone.
Well, you know.
Anyways, yeah, that's who I am. I'm born and raised in Hamilton. So.
Hamilton, Ontario.
Yeah.
You, just in case no one knows what the Tiger Cats are, the Hamilton Tiger Cats are a professional Canadian football team based in Hamilton, Ontario, and founded in 1950 with the merge of the Hamilton Tigers and the Hamilton Wildcats. Were those both? Those were both football teams, right?
Yeah. That's when they played with leather helmets. So they didn't wear any equipment.
Were you around then?
No, I was just a thought, I think, somewhere off in the future. I might have been around, but not as this being.
Not as this being. Oh.
Yeah, I was born in 1961.
1960. Oh, okay, that would make sense. Yeah.
So, yeah, anyways, that was before my time, but, the Hamilton Tiger Cats played a big part in my upbringing. Mm-hmm. I grew up blocks away from what was then called Civic Stadium back in the 60s and 70s,
which is now called Ivor Wynne Stadium. Well, it's not Ivor Wynne Stadium now.
It's soon to be Tim Hortons Field. That's the name they picked for the new structure that they're erecting at the same site there on Balsam and Cannon. I grew up on Garfield North, which is about 3 blocks away from the stadium. So anything that happened at the stadium in my childhood was always something of an event in my life. Mm-hmm. So at a young age, I started hanging around the stadium and was always, a very ardent fan of the Tiger Cats. They were people that grew up in my neighborhood. I would walk down the stadium as a kid and watch the Tiger Cats practice. And I dreamed one day that, maybe if I was blessed and fortunate and worked hard enough, I might become one day. Mm-hmm. So growing up around the stadium was a big part of my life growing up in Hamilton.
Would you say the Tiger Cats were a role model for you?
Oh, of course. I remember Angelo Mosca when I was a kid. We used to go try to sneak into games or get a ticket and try and get in a game. And at the end of the game, when the final whistle would blow, we as kids would jump over the wall onto the field and we'd just create this wild bedlam. There'd be, say, 500-600 kids running around the field, tackling each other. It was just
they would just
crazy.
Run on the field?
We'd have to dodge out the security guards that were guarding the field, and then by the time, 20 minutes after the game, that field was littered with kids running around pretending they were Tiger Cats. I mean, they were a big part of our community and still are, and I was fortunate enough to be drafted by them and spend a couple years with them and make one of my dreams come true. So when I was a kid, after one of the games, I ran up to Angelo Mosca, who was a Tiger Cat legend, and asked him for his chin strap, and he gave me his chin strap after the game, and I remember hanging it up on my dresser in my bedroom, on the mirror of the dresser, and I bet you that chin strap stayed up there for about 10 years, at least, maybe longer. I wish I still had it. It was
Oh, you don't have it anymore?
nah. I was never one for memorabilia. I just never really held on to much. So
If you still had it today, would it be worth money?
no, I wouldn't even know unless he signed it. But
Yeah,
to
that's
me,
true, yeah.
to me, it had
sentimental
not
value.
not a monetary value, but just and I remember one of my grade school teachers say to me in grade 5, you're going to be the next Angelo Mosca. And I just fell in love with football at a young age, and I love the violent contact. I like the premise of the game. It was such a team game dependent on so many people. It's something I excelled at Scott Park and Cathedral High Schools before I went to Concordia University, where I was drafted in the 12th pick in the 1984 draft.
So what was it like playing football at a competitive level like that? Wait, first of all, what year did you start playing for the Tiger Cats?
I was drafted in 1984, and we went to the Grey Cup my rookie year. I made the team even though I got seriously hurt in the last preseason game of the year. The team decided to put me on the injured reserve list, which was quite unusual for a rookie. So I was quite fortunate to, receive my salary and be a part of the team. And, I started coming back to practice by the end of the year. And it was a great thrill to just be a part of the Grey Cup experience. And even though, we didn't fare very well that year, we lost to Winnipeg. The game was in Edmonton. And I remember shaking hands with Harold Ballard and King Clancy on the City Hall steps as, whenever you represented Hamilton as a city, and we ended up finishing second in the nation, they presented us with a city ring made of silver, which was pretty cool. We had a little parade, even though we didn't win the cup. But
That was pretty cool.
it was all a big thrill for me to be a part of the Tiger Cat organization and become a someone that younger kids would look up to, want to aspire the same way I did, being a hometown boy playing professional football in his hometown. It was quite a thrill for me.
Exactly, inspiring the next generation.
Yeah.
Do you still have that ring you were talking about?
It's another
No,
thing.
you don't keep it.
It's another. I held on to that for a long time, believe it or not. But I wish I knew where that was. That's a good one. So when you play football, you gotta remember you are
Got to hold on to the ball.
No, but you are. You are smashing your head quite a bit.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
So as time goes by, those blows, you don't really get away with much in life. So, a lot of things that might be important to some people don't really hold that kind of importance to me. So, I'm not sure where the ring is. I might have it somewhere, but...
You might just sit down on your couch one day and be like, oh, let's check it out.
Yeah, I've kind of been all over the map a bit for quite some time, but that's life, and then that's all good.
Exactly.
It's all good.
Just going back a bit, what was it like? How did you actually build up to the point where you were actually playing for the Tiger Cats?
Well, that took
like where did you go to school? Did you actually get a scholarship?
I attended. I was supposed to. I thought I had a scholarship to Kent State in Ohio, coming out of high school out of Cathedral in 1979-80. And it ended up falling out of my grasp, and I ended up going to university at Concordia University in Montreal, which was their football program. The university was really only about 8 years old, so just starting its football program, and they hadn't won very many games. One of the greater accomplishments in my athletic career was helping establish Concordia as a football powerhouse. We built a great program, me and my colleagues that played at that university, and it was a great ride that I had there. We ended up, being a game away from playing the Vanier Cup, which is the college championship. We had all of our offensive linemen who played alongside me. We all got drafted, different years. And so, we had built quite a strong football program at a university that didn't have one before we got there. So I feel somewhat
so you're a part of something really
proud
big,
of something that's, to this day continuing some kind of tradition, building a tradition, being part of building a tradition is kind of what I'm talking about. And then, the Tiger Cats had drafted one of my teammates the year before I got there, and he had done well. And so they talked to my coach, and they drafted me with their first pick in 1984. And it was a proud moment for me to finally realize a dream that I had worked very hard for. I put a lot of time in lifting weights and training and playing a lot of different sports. I was very athletic. I liked playing all kinds of sports growing up, so I continued to, play basketball and hockey in the winter, things that just being athletic, competitively.
Looks like the dog wants to say hi.
Say something, Rock. Speak, Rock.
Speak.
Speak. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
Oh.
Say something, Rock.
Oh.
Come on. Speak. My boy.
Okay, now go away. Go away.
on.
You're hitting the cords. Go.
Come on, big boy.
Go,
You
Rocky.
did good. Come on, beat it, Rock.
Go, Rocky.
That bad breath.
'Cause that's what I gotta deal with. I had my cat in one episode. The cat was right here.
Well,
and I'm
that's
like,
all part of live broadcasting. So, Dad comes along, farts, and dog walks in. What are you going to do?
So in 2010, you ran for mayor of Hamilton, and you've actually placed fifth out of 15 candidates, I believe it was.
Yeah, it was.
That was pretty good.
I never ever thought of wanting to be a politician. I think what happened was the owner of the Tiger Cats had started talking about relocating the team because of this ineptness at City Hall and making a decision on where to build a stadium. And I just thought, having a strong tie to the city and the organization, that maybe running for mayor and trying to just put some common sense into what the city was really trying to achieve with the organization. The team to me is a big part of our community, so that's kind of what precipitated me thinking of wanting to be a politician. I really have no political aspirations, but once I got into the mayoral candidacy, I saw a lot of things that really opened my eyes to what politics are really about.
Yeah. I
There's,
believe that.
There's a sense of underhandedness that, I had a website designed for the candidacy, and, I received a lot of emails that were quite disturbing. People will go to any extent to try and make someone look like they're inept in one way or another when it comes to politics. It's really kind of a dirty kind of game that people play, in the sense where, if you become somewhat popular with people, you can be a politician and get elected because people like you and they'll vote for you. And so what people in politics try to do with other people who are running against them is they try to make them look like they shouldn't be popular.
Yeah.
What are you voting for this guy for?
Mudslinging. That's
Yeah.
like
Do you know who this guy really is?
Yeah.
And so
They're doing that with Trudeau now. Well, they used to.
They'll do it with everybody and anybody, anyone in that world.
Yeah.
And so the idea around it, and a lot of times politicians will say things that they don't really mean as part of just being politically correct. Is
like making promises.
Politically correct is not saying yes or no. That's
looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
It's not really
It's
giving
just
a straight answer.
Yeah, never giving an answer, a yes or no answer. It's always convoluting a question with a question and turning it into something different. There's no yes or no involved, and so it's kind of not how I'm wired.
And like you're very straight to the point, so that's kind of, you can't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's why politics. People are talking to me about running for council, because the councilors died. It's the ward I grew up in. It's right around the stadium, that kind of idea. But in my sense of self, like, do I really want to change? Because, this is what they say about politics, Sal. They say, you might go into politics clean, but you're not coming out clean. So you might go in shooting straight, but you're going to come out shooting crooked. And so, I don't know. I think about it. I think I'd like to think I could make a difference and and actually, exact some change in the way things are run, and have a powerful voice, and a lot of, feel like there's some good I could do if I did, continue politically, but yet there's something about it that smells fishy.
Yeah. Well, it's not really smell. You kind of saw.
Yeah,
But-
kind of just.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was. Yeah. It's just
Not
everyone
really.
says the same thing. It's been
As
documented.
I'm aging, it's not my cup of tea. I want to do things I like doing, and
yeah, it's too
as
stressful. I guess
as I'm running down the ladder, you're
never right in that
You're
situation.
climbing up the ladder. I'm coming down the ladder. And so when you start coming down the ladder, you don't want headaches.
Yeah. Unless it's a fire pole where you're just sliding down the ladder.
Yeah, well,
But that's a completely different analogy. That probably has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I remember watching your debates, and actually you told me this before we started the podcast, that you actually didn't have any debate training before going in, but you still somehow held your own.
Well, I think it's probably more part and parcel in the fact that I've just been a very good orator my whole life. I've been able to. I've never been someone who had a hard time speaking in public. I was a football coach, so I would hold an audience of 30, 40 kids in a meeting. So I had spoken to people in groups for quite some time and done it very effectively. Had a fabulous coaching record. After I quit playing football, I became a coach, and
Nice.
And part of what I did differently was I was a very good motivational speaker, and so the kids I coached would always play above and as well as they could, or above as well as they could. They were very motivated, and so I just thought, with my ability to speak in public and my exposure to some sense of media as an actor and football player, I thought, it wouldn't be hard for me to excel in that forum of having a debate with someone. So, I thought I did okay. I thought Hamilton was ready for something new. Yeah, it was a good experience, but to say that I'd want to try it again, no, I think my ideas are, I've really been leaning to the arts as I'm getting older, and that's kind of where I see my energy being focused on, is projects in the arts. Music and film is kind of my thing, and that I'd love to be doing as a vocation, but as we all know, anyone that's tried to dabble in the acting world or music world, it's a very difficult challenge to make it a vocation. You need to, get some real big strokes of luck.
Oh, I know. Yeah, getting into the media industry is actually pretty hard. Yeah, that's what I know for sure. Did you used to live in Montreal for a while, you said?
Well, that's where I went to university.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Spent 4 years of my life there, and I lived in Halifax for about 4 months. I enjoyed it there, too. It's a very beautiful city, and, life, you find life outside of Hamilton's, everywhere. Every place has a different flavor, a different taste, a different reality of...
Different smell,
everything. There's just...
different amount of Tim Hortons locations, there's all that.
For sure. I mean, there's Tim Hortons everywhere, but
on Upper James, there's 4 Tim Hortons.
I know.
I counted them. I used to job hunt 4 Tim Hortons up and down the street. There's 2 of them right across from each other. And there's a Tim Hortons in a gas station, and then besides the gas station, there's Tim Hortons.
This is the home of Hortons,
Yeah, that's why it's called. I guess and now there's going to be a stadium called Tim Hortons Stadium.
Imagine what better. How can we become more famous as Hamiltonians as being the birthplace of a Canadian icon, Tim Hortons coffee shop? I mean, if there's a bigger icon than Tim Hortons in Canada, I'd be hard pressed to.
Ford.
Well, Ford's not Canadian.
Well, not anymore, but
it never was. Ford's an American company that made vehicles in Canada. I'm talking about a Canadian-built product. That's Tim Hortons.
As big as Tim Hortons, yeah.
As big as Tim Hortons is like the biggest Canadian icon that ever would hit my mind. Okay, what else is what there used to be?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
Petro-Can, what?
Petro-Canada? That. Well, yeah, I guess it would be Canadian.
A gas station.
I don't know how Petro-Canada would be a Canadian name, though.
On the East Coast, they got Irving.
Sarcasm.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Tim Hortons. It's a great name.
Named after a hockey player. Yeah. You got to start.
He's a tough guy. He was a tough hockey player. He was, and he was one of the greatest, really, as a hockey player. The guy was.
He's very passionate about
He was,
pastries
he was-
and soup.
He
hot
couldn't
chocolate.
care less about any of that. That
And
was
rolling up the rims to
that was his partner's idea.
So how did you become a actor? How was your what was your break in gig? Like,
Well,
did you have a first gig?
that was really strange how I got into acting. I was working as an educational assistant at Cathedral High School, boys' high school at the time, in Hamilton. My teacher boss, the head of my department, called me up over the Christmas holidays on my house line and asked me if I was interested in a couple days' work being a bodyguard. Which I thought was, I knew my superior was a dabbler in many different venues of business. Even though he was the head of my department, he was a bit of a hustler. Someone you'd call a hustler, And so he had hustled some gig for a bodyguard. So I said, okay, well, where do I have to go? He goes, well, it's for Fabio. Fabio was a supermodel. In the 80s and 90s.
And was coming to Canada?
Well, this is what I was completely, taken aside by the fact that I had not heard of Fabio coming to Hamilton, coming to Toronto. I mean, if he was supposed to be here, I think the media would have known about him making an appearance, of some sort. But regardless, he just told me to be at CHCH TV at the back door of the lot at CHCH TV on Jackson and Caroline, I believe it is, or Hunt, or whatever it is. And so I showed up there, and they walked me into a pre-built set that I had no idea where I was being escorted to, but there was a set built inside the CHCH building for a mini TV series that ran in the United States called Boogie's Diner. And it was basically a sitcom, a teenage sitcom that was being aired in the States, that was being shot in Canada, and they had set up their set in CHCH TV in Hamilton. And we were bodyguards for a young actor who was pretending he was a rock star, and we were considered what they call a special service extra in the business, which meant, you didn't eat with the extras, you got to eat with the cast. So it was like this 2 days of a Hollywood type setting. The director was Lee Bernardi, who had directed Three's Company, which was a very popular sitcom in the 70s. It was a great experience. My first one was probably one of the best ones. It was a unionized set. And so it was like, wow, I'd love to do this for a living. And I think I made like $550 for 2 days of stuffing my face with lobster tails and steak and 5-layer chocolate cake. And me and the director had kind of hit it off. He was a big USC football fan, and I was still carrying my football size. And
just for general information, how tall are you?
I'm 6'3".
6'3". Yeah, you're very tall. You would make a good bodyguard, I think. I wouldn't want.
Well,
to,
yeah, no, definitely. I get stereotyped a lot in the business because of my size and stature. I mean, it's a part of.
Hey.
A lot of guys that are short and tiny seem to get all the roles because you never know how tall you are on camera.
Yeah, exactly.
Tom Cruise, Pacino, De Niro. These guys are all little
short,
guys. Yeah. Keitel, the list goes on and on.
Makes me feel better because I'm like 5.
Oh yeah, you fit right in the heartthrob.
I had someone tell me they met me for the first time in person. They're like, "You're a Smurf." I'm like, what?
You're a
Smurf.
You could be a Smurf, so.
Sure, thank you.
You're like Cousin Smurf. You're not quite Uncle Smurf. You're not Papa Smurf. You're not the kids. You're like Cousin Smurf.
There you go. I don't mind
Anyways,
being young.
once I got a taste of that world of acting style, I really wanted to try and make a run at it. And I remember thinking, I wanted to tell the director, why don't you make me the security guard on set?
Oh, like while you're acting?
Yeah, while I
acting as
was
a security
playing
guard?
just to have me here every day as part of the crew. And I'm just a security guard at the door, and I may have 2 lines of a show, but you know, the set, the way it was set up was, you know, it was a diner where you could get something to eat and a clothing store. It was quite an elaborate set they had built inside CHCH. It was, you know, it had a lot of bells and whistles to the set. And I thought, you know, this place should have a security guard who has 1 line an episode for someone. And sure enough, a couple years later, as I pursued my coaching aspirations, I went to a coaching clinic in Dallas. I was in a motel sleeping while this coaching clinic was going on, convention, and a Boogie's Diner episode came on, and isn't there a security guard at the door? And he's one of the guys, he's the neighbor on Married with Children, Al Bundy's neighbor. You see, I had the idea. Had I told the director that time when I had the idea to make me the thing, he would have given me the role. And I just didn't act on it. And that's the business. That's show business. When I first stepped onto the set, had I mentioned what was in my mind to the director in a conversation, I would have become part of the union. I would have got a credit. I would have had some sense of airtime in a union shoot, not a non-union thing, not an independent thing. But you understand, that's the business that, you know. That's how I got started, and ever since it's just been kind of, you know, something falling into my lap for me to do. Never really me making a real pursuit into the acting world. I kind of just let it come to me when it came, you know.
Exactly. I know there was a cell phone commercial back in the day where like it compared the two services. It was like, I don't know, Bell and Fido, let's say, and the Bell one was the slow one and the Fido was the fast one, and the girl walks out of her apartment or whatever, or her house or whatever, and then walks onto like the city street. And on the fast one, on the slow one, it shows her sending a text and then waiting, and then people walk by, and then she'd walk to work. But in like with the fast one, she'd like send a text, right away send it, and then walk down, and then like run into like a director of like a Broadway show, and then have like a conversation with him, and then just like kind of like hit it off, and then all of a sudden she's like a ballerina. Like it shows her like later on like as a ballerina, and then like her as like the Fido or the slow one. The slow cell phone company, she's like in the audience watching, and it's just kind of like, that's kind of like the idea you're kind of saying, I feel.
You know,
it's like,
it's so,
you gotta be at the right time.
It really is.
Sometimes, you know,
in that business, and too, is my experiences as I went on to get, you know, different parts and different roles. You know, my experience was that people in the business are really kind of somewhat condescending. They're going to tell you what you want to hear. They're going to give you all of these kind of promotional ideas that really are just, they're like clouds passing in the sky.
They just say, I'll pitch you an idea and be like, hey, check this out.
You know, I'll do this and we can do that. And
call you up next week.
Yeah, and it's just like,
you can't trust them.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that it's really hard to throw your eggs in the basket. But you know, I went on to do some more things in the acting world that really kind of stoked my sense of appetite being on that first set. And then as time went on, I came to realize a lot of the ins and outs of the business, and you know, having proper representation, and you know, just how really random it is between being someone that nobody knows and someone that everybody knows. It's just so random. It's
very interesting atmosphere.
It is. It's like really looking up into the universe. You just don't know, you know, with acting. You're here today and you're gone tomorrow. You've had a big role and then you never get another one.
Exactly.
You know, you've never had a role and then you get a big role, and then You know, it's something you have to kind of
pursue.
Yeah, you got to keep your you got to keep in the game. You can't fold your hand. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you have to keep your hand open, and that's a hard thing to do sometimes because
especially starting out.
Well, yeah, you go to try a lot of gigs and nothing works out, and you want to fold your hand. You know,
Give up. I'm just go to my part-time job.
Yeah, exactly.
Stay there.
You know, just you want to give up because so many times the rejection is. I had a part in a Disney thing, and I kind of brushed it off and got pissed off because I didn't get the speaking role, and I didn't end up showing up. And who knows, had I just hung around set, for that 2 weeks, that maybe it could have turned into who knows what for me. It's just so many variables in that intricacies in that world where, especially when you haven't made it, you just. It's getting that big break. Like I thought maybe, when I did my mob piece with the History Channel, that
with Elias Lantis.
Yeah,
the mob stories.
Yeah, the mob story piece.
That was pretty cool.
And how I got that part. Walking into your dad's barbershop and grandfather's barbershop, and seeing a guy in there and muscling the guy, and he's looking at me like, what was he called? The location manager. Yeah, I started muscling him. He's talking to your dad and grandfather. I go, excuse me, but think you're going to film in here without talking to me? And the poor guy was like, he was shaking in his boots.
Oh, yeah.
He bust into a sweat right in front of me.
You're a pretty scary person.
Well, but he bust into a sweat right in front of me. Okay, buddy, relax. I couldn't carry it on. Like the beads of sweat just broke open in his forehead. Anyways, he introduced me to the producer, who introduced me to the director, who gave me the part.
Who happened to be looking for a mobster.
They already had the guy.
Oh, they had the.
They had auditioned the part.
Probably.
It was already given away. When I went to audition for the part on Friday, they were shooting on Monday. And when I went on Friday, I saw the guy that they had picked for the part. They had his wardrobe all laid out. They had his picture over his wardrobe. They had my name that I played, Paul Volpe, over his name. So they had picked somebody, but he was not who I was. He did not carry my presence. He looked effeminate. He did not look
very
like
feminine.
Well, he did not look like I would be scared of him if I was walking down an alley.
Well, you're not scared of anyone, I think.
No, if you'd be scared of him walking down an alley.
Oh, I'm a Smurf, so
That's what I mean. So if you saw this guy, you say, "Oh, this guy, nothing to worry about. He walks like my sister." Anyways, they gave me the part, but that's how random the business is. I was, down and out and out of luck without any work. And these guys come along, even though it didn't pay anything, but at least I was the lead.
Yeah, you got some good footage.
I got some great footage, I got some good tape, the whole thing.
Good connections.
Wow, that's what I'm talking about, connections.
Yeah, sure.
The connections weren't any good at all. They were useless because none of them panned out to a round of golf for me. They said everything. They said everything. They'd help me as much as they could when the process of making the film was going on, and on the last day on set, I knew something was wrong. Like, they're not treating me the same because I've done everything.
Yeah.
I've done everything. I'm here for the last day. They've got a few more shots to take of me, and I'm here. I'm here on time. So, well, this guy's done. We don't need to worry about him. And the condescending, man, nice to see you. Oh man, you're the best. You're the greatest. All that stopped. Yeah, it just clicked on the last day, and I was like, "Hey man, like, what's up? What's going on here?"
That's insane.
It was not insane
crazy.
at all. It was just It was but it was. It's the world. It's that world. It's like,
yeah, that's true.
I've come to learn that the actor is not someone held in high esteem unless he's made it. Unless the actor's made it. Until you've made it as an actor, you're nobody.
I know Jim Carrey he lived out of a van
Yeah, everybody.
for a while. There's a lot of stories like that. It's
Everyone,
insane.
like
Every
they say,
actor
the overnight success that took 15 years. I haven't had my face back out in the market
Yeah.
for quite some time, so it's like I got to reintroduce myself all over again. But that doesn't mean anything anyways, because I could walk into the next part and that's it.
And then you're just like, hey, look at that guy.
I'm in.
You've been doing this for 10 years, haven't you? Come on in.
You're in. It's kind of how it works.
It's interesting business.
It sure is. I love the arts, but it's one of those industries, unless you're extremely fortunate or extremely gifted,
or you just know people.
or you're extremely connected.
Yeah, it's kind of very a lot of favoritism.
No, it's highly connected. I mean, you almost need to change your denomination of what you call yourself religiously to call yourself a Jew. So, I'm a Jew. So all of a sudden, well, you're Jewish? Yeah, I'm Jewish. Well, that's kind of a big thing in the business, because they run the business and they're a secular society. They're
exactly,
people that kind of, they just help each other,
I know some Christian people that are trying to get into acting, and they're saying the same thing. It's like, you can't go into a thing and say, I'm Christian, because then they'll just shut their doors on you.
Yeah, no, it's a big part of the business. They all stick together. It's like politics. You got to say what people want to hear. You don't got to say what you think. And that's
watch what you say. Yeah, that's what
my idea. My idea of the arts and acting now is not so much trying to be mainstream or make it in the sense of what's out there, making it in their world. I just like the idea of working together with someone like yourself, who's an aspiring cinematographer, and writing a good script and shooting something independently and
Like
just
this
having a
podcast.
piece of work, that, it's entertaining to watch. It's a good story. It's shot well. It's edited. The music fits. The whole thing. Like making a film that's worthy of an audience and having the audience take away the feeling of the film, the message from the film, the story of the film. To me, that's something I want to do before my time is up. Is I want to make movies. Not, I might even act and star in the movie, but I want to be a part of the whole process of making the project. Doing it, making it happen. Not really this idea of me doing someone else's work. I like the idea of just doing in-house work. That's part of how I look at my future in the acting world. It's not so much trying to make it in Hollywood, but just making it in Hammerwood,
Hammerwood.
Yeah.
Steeltown, Hammerwood. Do you have any current projects on the go right now, or do you have any future plans? Or
I do have I've come across another gift. Well, I never come across it. I always kind of knew I had something, but I started dabbling in music, and I'm not a what I'd call a singer. I call myself a crooner, which is something a little different. And I started dabbling in crooning. The music from a certain era in time in the history of the 20th century has kind of captured my own sense of passion from the 50s and the 40s, 30s. And I've been performing a little bit with a troupe, singing, crooning, or calling it. But
you going around Hamilton? We've
done about 6 or 7 gigs in and around Hamilton. It's become something that I really kind of enjoy doing. So I've come up with a really unique idea, because I do have another passion for cooking.
Cooking. Oh yeah, I remember you were trying to start a cooking show for a while.
Yeah. So I came up with this
culinary
culinary crooner idea, where I kind of blend my expertise in the kitchen with my soothing and relaxing voice, and
That sounds really.
yeah, somewhat unique with a live band and the set. And, hopefully I could shoot a pilot sometime before the end of the year. That would be really a real thrill for me to get done.
And then we got the olives and the fettuccine.
I never thought about changing the words of the song and throwing in the ingredients.
And throw it in. Oh, I thought that was in my mind.
But that, you know what, Sal? I kind of I like where you're going with that. That can really.
Asiago.
Yes, I'm sure we could do it. That's amore. That's Asiago.
Yeah, put it in the oven for half a minute. No, more than that. That's more.
Yeah. That's not bad, Sal. I could sing the whole recipe. Now we gotta cut the garlic and hey, Sal. Hey.
When the spoon hits the sauce and you spread it all around.
Yeah. Sal,
That's a pizza pie.
Sal, now you're on to something.
Sorry, that's what I was. I'm thinking crooning and then. No.
The idea was to
cooking
to croon a what do they call a standard. That old black magic has me, and its spell. That old black magic that you weave so well. I see fingers up and down my spine.
Oh, fingers.
That same old witchcraft when your eyes meet mine. Anyways, the idea was to do a standard.
Oh, we're done? Okay.
And then we're gonna cut an eggplant. Okay, so that was the song. Everybody claps.
Eggplant.
You do it with a live, You do a live audience. Everybody claps after the song. Okay, now we're gonna cut a tomato. Okay, before we go to the next commercial, okay, boys, hit it. All I do is dream of you the whole day through. Where the dawn and then commercial, and they come back. All I do is dream of you.
We've been singing the whole time.
Yeah. You see. You get it, Sal? Anyways,
you
I
should
thought
make
about
honey crullers from Tim Hortons or honey crooners.
Yeah.
As a pun. Not funny.
For sure.
Yes.
But I like I like your angle. I think we can work on it, Sal.
Hey, there's something to work. You can change the script up a bit. Hey.
Well, you're part of the backbone of the team.
There we go. Oh, I just got a gig.
You got a gig.
See, it's a random industry. I just got a gig.
You got a gig.
Thank
Sal.
you.
We got to find a set. I don't know if the basement's gonna work.
My basement's kind of dark. Yeah, kind of too many posters.
No, we're gonna find a set. I gotta find some rich chick with a fancy house.
Sweet. Hopefully single.
I got one in mind.
Does she have a daughter?
No, but she's got a dog you can walk.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no, that's it. So, you know what? I've been talking about, thinking about the cross between thinking and talking is thocking.
Talking. That sounds like a swear word.
Yeah, I've been talking about
thinking and talking.
Yeah, I've been talking about it. So.
New words. That's probably an old word. I know.
Or thinking about it.
In the Bible, they use spake.
Anyways.
Spoken and spake.
Yeah, I definitely want to try and get something down. Like my daughter also has aspirations. Your friend Odiana, she has aspirations in filmmaking, and she's going to school to Brock and to make some films. So hopefully this summer we can try and put a project together where we can shoot something that's what we can call entertaining. That's kind of what the idea of. It's something you watch should be informative or entertaining.
Just like my podcast.
Or both.
Just saying.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what you want. You want something that's going to inform you a little bit, give you some information, some ideas.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of. I guess that's the focus for this year is to actually get something completed and done and.
Instead of talking about it.
Yeah, it's so I've come back from quite a devastating injury in my life. So for me, it's taken some time, and it's
Not just in football, I believe.
no, I mean riding my bike. I had the cycling,
yeah.
the cycling accident that nearly.
The cycling. Oh, I heard you hit a pole.
Nearly killed me. So the one thing I found out after what happened to me is,
You were in the hospital. That's.
yeah, oh yeah, it was bad. I was busted up. I got busted up. I think it's physically, it takes a year for broken things that were once broken to kind of not feel like they were ever broken again. That takes a year. If it's 6 months after you broke it, still feels like you broke it. About a year later, after you broke it, it doesn't really feel like you broke it before.
Well, like they say, what doesn't kill you
makes you stronger. Yeah, that's what they say. So
is that a physical metaphor or a mental metaphor?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it pertains to either or. I think you can no, it does. I think you can even put emotions on there.
Yeah, true, yeah.
If it hasn't killed you emotionally, it's going to make you stronger emotionally,
Exactly.
If it hasn't killed you physically, it's going to make you stronger physically. If it hasn't killed you mentally, it'll make you strong. I think it really does, body, mind, and soul.
Yeah,
well, you got to remember, without sorrow, what is rejoice?
Exactly.
And without rejoice, well, what's sorrow? They kind of, it's all you have to experience. I feel sorry for people a lot of times who haven't had, something devastating ever happened to them.
Yeah, they just kind of coasted through life.
Yeah, they'll never know what tragedy is.
Exactly.
You don't ever know that sense of depth of sorrow, because that's really what life is to me, Sal, is,
Exactly. You can't really
things that take you deeper into life. What I'm saying is do everything 100%.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
when you cry hard. When you laugh hard.
Mm-hmm.
When you feel bad, feel really bad. Get into it. When you're sad, get really sad. Stop it, Sal.
Thank you for
you're making me cry.
I'm angry now.
After the tears comes the laughter.
What am I
And
doing
vice
here?
versa. I remember my mother telling me that all the time.
Really, that's awesome.
If you were laughing real hard, you go, yeah, keep on laughing. You'll be crying soon.
And you'll be mad I said that. Yeah, that's the end of the podcast. You want to sing us out? Maybe.
Sure thing.
Give us a little.
Let me think. I've been getting into Chet Baker. Look for the silver lining whenever a cloud appears in the blue. Remember
we're on iTunes.
the sun is shining.
Search Just Saying Podcast.
And so the right thing to do is make it shine for you a heart full
And then share on Facebook. That
of joy and gladness. Will always banish sadness and strife. So always look for the silver lining and try to find the sunny side of life.
And subscribe to the podcast.
They did.